Hello, everyone. It's an incredible honor to be asked to introduce myself to you. My name is Ellen Thaler. I'm an operations senior manager at Moss Adams LLP, which is a public accounting firm supporting our partner in charge of our tax specialty group and its business line leaders. I've been asked to join you today and share a little bit of my journey on facing learning disabilities and adversities. Some of my learning disabilities growing up was dyslexia and the ability to comprehend information that I was reading and really sort through some of those details. I can still remember very early on some conversations that had taken place with my mother, who was a single parent, and casting shadows on really what my potential would be and suggesting that I may never really rise above a D student. I can say that I'm incredibly grateful that my mother didn't heed to their uh, offered insight as to the direction of my life, and rather she supported me in finding ways that I could learn best. And back in the days when I was young, there wasn't much that was really known or understood on dyslexia. It wasn't commonly sought after or understood within the public school system. So that was a challenge for sure. But together, both my mother as well as my older sister, who was amazing, helped me to really navigate through some of those challenges of reading and learning. As well as I want to speak to kind of the mental anxiety that I kind of found myself going through throughout school and even through portions leading in to college. Although I had overcome some of those challenges for reading, I felt like some of the confidence still waned with me as I moved through each level within school and ultimately on to college. But finding really great support systems, finding professors as well as teachers, outside resources, mentors are really what this is all about. And I'm hopeful that even me sharing my journey with you can serve as a reference point that you can overcome the things that others might deem impassable in your life. I'll say that, some of my achievements that I had throughout my life were participating in Army ROTC. For those of you that don't know what that is, that's Reserved Officers Training Corps. I did that in high school. And so that also really helped me to boost my confidence. I did not end up going to the Army. My mom kind of put a stop on that. But nonetheless, it was really great for kind of leading me down the path that I did throughout my life. I then later went on and I did go to college. And I then ended up going and obtaining even a master's degree in clinical counseling psychology. And so all these naysayers of I wouldn't extend beyond a D student were wrong. And it's really about your mindset that you put yourself in as to the direction that you'll take in life. And throughout my journey, I've been in multiple settings in terms of my job. I've been a counselor. I've worked at a bank doing administrative work. I then went on and I worked at a university as a director of resident life. I worked for a period of time in IT and now here at this public accounting firm, helping to support our partners. So what was ultimately deemed as a hindrance ultimately became my asset. I ended up channeling my energy and using those negative thoughts as a way to really propel my success and show someone that the road doesn't stop where they thought that it might, and found ways to use those skills to my advantage. So even though I was having difficulty reading sentences and comprehending it, I slowly began to find skills that would allow me to really excel in that direction. So supporting partners is writing a lot. It's proofing things that I do for the partners, and sending that out the door. I work with spreadsheets. So you can imagine I'm looking at numbers all day long. And sometimes I still have where numbers will flip themselves and I have to slow down and proof my work. What I'll say in terms of some of the things that really help me to kind of overcome things, that may be of help to you is number one, having handouts of the things that you are trying to study, really having that written text so that you can go slowly, you can underline things, you can highlight things, you can tab things. I found that I was compartmentalizing certain pieces of information, remembering in my mind, okay, I highlighted this in yellow, and that associates itself with what's in yellow on the next page. And this section was blue. So making those associations was really incredible for me. Equally, trying to pair up something I'm trying to remember with a funny story. If we can take something that might be uninteresting or difficult to remember and pair it up with a really interesting story that somebody told us or something we find that's funny, that's helpful. I equally found, which I don't know if this is possible in today's world of kind of being remote in some settings, but going to the place that I'm going to take an exam or write a paper or be presenting in, going into that setting and doing a dry run, studying in that environment, because then you're making that association, you're remembering, okay, I was sitting in this desk and I was trying to remember this statement or this equation. Those things became incredibly helpful. Now, here as I am in my later years of life and trying to find ways to help me, I equally use a feature that is in most of our Microsoft Office tools, and that is what is known as read aloud. So anytime that there is text that's coming across to me, sometimes I'll read it, but then equally, I will highlight that text and I'll choose the feature of read aloud. Read aloud allows me to hear it auditorially, so that I can then see maybe I'm comprehending it better, not just relying off of my vision, but also my hearing. I'll equally do that anytime that I'm writing something that I'm about to turn into somebody else. I'll put that on read aloud. In case I have any glaring errors of typos, the read aloud is going to stumble on my typos. So that is a really helpful feature that's out there. So lots of little tips and tricks that are out there. I equally found that when you're struggling to try and write something or a paragraph or something along those lines. I was using quotes back in the day. Most people would probably laugh when they look at most of my papers from school. I always started with a quote. I don't know that that's acceptable in today's world, but if it is, go for it. Sometimes that might jog your training in terms of how you're thinking about things. So those features are super helpful. Having a friend you can rely on to read your work and look at your work or use flashcards to study things is really helpful. Um, I want to say to all of you, that success is not within your reach, but rather it's something that you already possess right now. You're already being successful. You're listening to this video. You're leaning on the support of your instructors and those in your community and your family members. Definitely utilize us. The whole reason that I'm reaching out on this video is so that you also know that you have an additional resource. If after watching this video, you want to reach out to me in some way, shape, or form, by all means, I introduce that and welcome that to you. So I thank you tremendously. I wish you nothing but the very best. You're already walking the path of success. Firmly plant your foot on that path. It's golden and lots of exciting opportunities that await you. Thank you so much, everybody.